This is CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Find out more and open an account online at telhio.org. Now, here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Welcome to a game day edition of CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott. The Blue Jackets returned home from Vancouver yesterday, and they are right back at it tonight at Nationwide Arena, an all-important game between the Blue Jackets and the New York Islanders. The Blue Jackets will be looking for their first win of the season against the Islanders, and they pretty much have to get it tonight. As you look at the schedule the rest of the way, just about everything is a must-win. But this one this evening, the Blue Jackets would like to use it for a couple of things. Number one, they want to continue with the momentum that they picked up on Sunday with their win in Vancouver. Number two, they want to win so they can springboard into their final head-to-head matchup of the season with the Montreal Canadiens on Thursday. So that is really what the big importance is here, twofold. You want to pick up where you left off, and you need to be strong going into a game on Thursday that could decide whether you're in the playoffs or not. Well, this one could too, and that's another reason that you need to get a win. That's where the Blue Jackets are right now. There is very, very little margin for error on their part, I should say. So they have got to be out here playing their game tonight against an Islanders team that, as I said, has been very tough against them. They've shut them out the last two times they played each other. The team defense that the Islanders bring is extreme, and the Blue Jackets have to find a way to crack through it. And I'll talk more about that and breaking down how they can get through it, what they can do when I talk with head coach John Tortorella here in just a few moments. I'll also talk with forward Riley Nash about that. But first, I want to talk about the return of Nick Foligno tonight. The Blue Jackets missed their captain on the most recent trip. He has been in Columbus. He stayed here because his son was very ill, and he met with the media today to give the specifics of the situation that had him staying in Columbus instead of going on the road for 9 days with his teammates.
You know, it's not the situation you want to be in and be away from the team at this time of year, but my son was diagnosed, my youngest, my not even a 2-year-old yet, was diagnosed with a pretty serious case of pneumonia where his right lung actually collapsed on him. So we've been in the ICU for about a long time, over 2 weeks now. You know, I'm happy to report he's off the ventilator. He was on a breathing ventilator for about 11 days, and so it was pretty serious, pretty scared. You know, even with everything we've gone through with my daughter, this is something different, and you can't prepare yourself to see your kid fighting like that. And so I really appreciate the obviously the support. It's been a trying year off the ice, obviously with my family, but the support I've gotten has made it a lot easier from these guys in this room and in this organization. And so, you know, we're just going to keep plowing ahead and getting them better and, you know, hopefully put all this behind us.
It has been a tough year for the Folignos, as Nick just said, and you feel for them. And it is difficult not to have your captain with you. It's difficult, even more so at this time of year, as Nick said at the beginning of that statement. But the fact of the matter is there are things more important than hockey in life. There are things that are more important. Amazing but true. It's not so amazing. I'm just kidding about that. But, you know, it's good that Nick is going to be back tonight. It will be great to have him back with the team on the ice. I'm sure for him, a part of him anyway, it's going to feel good to go out and play hockey again and just kind of have it as a distraction as to what's been going on in real life. Look, real life is always much worse than not making the playoffs, right? I mean, that's why I do what I do, is to escape real life. You know, when people are worried about all these big things that could happen in the world, I'm worried about the Blue Jackets getting 2 more points and trying to get into the playoffs. So, you know, it is a fantasy world in many ways, and that's what makes it fun and appealing, but it's also serious business too. And so Nick will get back to business tonight with his teammates and hopefully, you know, help them win this game this evening. Whether he gets a goal or whether he does anything specific, the fact is to have him back in the mix and have his voice back is going to be a big thing for this team. I don't think there's any question about that. The question is, as I said earlier, can the Blue Jackets maintain the momentum that they picked up on Sunday and carry it into tonight? Can they play a high-energy game? Can they get a win on home ice? Can they beat the New York Islanders? Talked about all of this with Blue Jackets head coach John Tortorella.
Towards the game in Vancouver, obviously a good game for you. The 2 days that you had off there, do you think maybe it helped after a bad game in Edmonton where the guys could, number one, take a breather, number two, could get a good crisp practice, and then take it into that game the other night?
Yeah. I again, that was the only bad game we played on that trip, although we don't get the results in some of the other ones. I think we had a good process. We had some meetings, had a good quick practice, had an off day to get away from it, and I thought we played one of our most complete games.
As you're looking for somebody to kind of set a tone, was Josh Anderson that guy in Vancouver?
Has been. He has been. We've kind of lost our top line here a little bit, although they played very well in Vancouver. And really, actually, our top line played pretty good in Calgary. But Josh has been, he's been going, his whole tempo and whole level of his game keeps on going up. He's been really good for us.
And that was a physical game. I know it's not like the old days. We've talked about that ad nauseum the last couple of years. But there were some big hits early on. There were some borderline controversial things. And at the time, I thought it was good for your team, and it turned out to be because they got engaged.
Yeah. They knew how important the game was. I think Josh may have his first hit could have been a penalty, but there were hits both ways. Shen hits Jens. It's a headshot that could have been a penalty. So it kind of bounced around. I thought we looked a little tentative at first with the puck, but once we scored a couple of goals, and once Luke scored his second goal, you could see him relax, and I thought that line played well, and everybody contributed offensively.
How big could that goal be for Pierre-Luc Dubois, who's a guy that we've talked about for the last couple of weeks? You're waiting to come back and be the dominant guy he was at one point this year.
Yeah. If we don't get him consistent, we really don't have a good chance to do what we need to do here. So, yeah, you could tell it helped him in that game. Hopefully they'll bring it right into this game.
Oliver Bjorkstrand had a couple of goals on that trip, and he's edging toward the 20-goal mark right now. It also looks like he's battling harder on the wall. Is that a product of knowing, how important these games are, or him just trying to – he knows it's important and he wants to be a bigger part of it?
Yeah, I've talked to Oliver about this from the day one, and he's been battling hard for over a month. We know what he can do shooting-wise. He was in and out of the lineup or in and out of certain situations in the lineup because we just didn't think he was playing hard enough on the puck. So I think he is really concentrated on that. And obviously you can see what he can do with the puck when he shoots it.
And Panarin was back to his battling on the puck the other day.
Yeah, played much better. It's probably the hardest I've seen him play in quite a while. I thought he fed off of that line. That line was good. It needs to be good tonight.
It's not often that you're out of the playoff picture trying to get in, but yet you kind of control your own destiny. How nice is that to know that it's just up to you?
Yeah, and we can't look at the hill. We just have to look at the place we're at right now, and that's tonight's game. We need to come back-to-back after playing a really good game against Vancouver. Play a better game tonight because this is a better team. It's a more rested team, and it's a different team we're going to play against as far as how hard they are to get things at the net and how defensive structure is with them.
And there's probably no team you've struggled against more offensively than this team. I know goaltending is certainly a part of it, but it's also that defensive structure and that system that Barry Trotz has his guys bought into. Yeah. What do you have to do to beat that system?
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you, we have developed scoring chances, though. We have developed a lot of scoring chances. I think their goaltenders have been the difference in a couple of games we've lost. The biggest key for us is if we're not getting scoring chances, not to overthink it, not try to force plays, because that's what they feed on. They're a really patient team defensively, and they just wait to counterattack when the team they're playing against gets impatient. So we have to we can't lose our patience tonight. If we're not getting something, we got to just keep on playing and try to find our way.
Nick Foligno comes back tonight. Do you put him right back with Boone Jenner where he's been?
Nope. Nick's on the fourth line. I'm keeping the three lines together. Nick's going to play right wing with Nasher and Doobie.
All right, Torch, thanks. Good luck.
Okay, Bobby, thank you.
So patience is the key to tonight's game, according to Blue Jackets head coach John Tortorella, and he's right. He's right. Look at the last meeting between the Blue Jackets and the Islanders, and that was on the road a couple of weeks ago, where Ryan Pollock gets a goal early in the first period, somewhat early in the first period. Anyway, he gets a goal, and then the Blue Jackets can't get that goal back. And as the game is going on, it's becoming more and more frustrating. They start to turn it into more of an individualized game instead of a team game, and I think the minute that happens, you're in big trouble. So the Blue Jackets have to continue to play the team game tonight. Getting an early lead would be huge, especially when you've been shut out 2 times in a row by the New York Islanders. Thomas Greiss has been the goaltender in both of those games. He's expected to start tonight. He has 5 shutouts on the year. 2 of them have been against the Blue Jackets. So if you can get the first goal, I think it does 2 things. Number 1, it sets the tone in your building. Number 2, it finally gets you to believe that you can score goals against Thomas Greiss, as crazy as that might sound, because Thomas Greiss has been around this league for a long time, and he's been a good and an effective NHL goaltender. Not spectacular, not the upper echelon. I don't think that you'd put him there, but the way that his team is playing in front of him and the way that he's playing this year, he is having an outstanding season. So if they can get the first goal on him, kind of get the mindset that, yes, we can get a goal on this guy, yes, we can beat this guy with good chances, I think that would go a long way. But that's going to be easier said than done. I don't think there's any question about that. You just heard John Tortorella say that Nick Foligno is going to play on a 4th line with Riley Nash and Brandon Dubinsky. It's not so long ago that line would be a top line instead of a 4th line, but the situation, the way it is, that's where they are relegated to, at least for the start of the game tonight. But I'll tell you something. The 4th line has been playing well. Marcus Hannikainen, I think he kind of gets screwed on this deal because I thought he played well again the other night, but Nick Foligno comes back, so he's out of the lineup. And this is the second time in a couple of weeks that I thought Hannikainen has played well, but he has been taken out of the lineup. And I'm not saying that there's anybody else that should be taken out because quite frankly, I don't think there is. And it's just a matter of luck of the draw or bad luck of the draw. If you're Marcus Hannikainen, you're the guy that's in and out of the lineup on a regular basis. I mean, Wenberg is playing well enough, and he's penalty killing, and there's no need to take him out. Bjorkstrand's scoring. There's no need to take him out. So once you get past those 2 guys, if you're going to keep your veteran players in and play them, well, Hannikainen is the guy that comes out. But the whole point I'm trying to make here in a long-winded way is that the 4th line has been good. The 4th line has provided stability for this team in the last couple of games. It's provided balance. John Tortorella has not hesitated in going to his 4th line, and that has allowed him to just roll the lines, which is much easier. Any coach will tell you that when all of your lines are going, when they're all contributing in some way, shape, or form, it's a much easier job for the coach to do, and it's much easier for the team, and you more than likely win those games. So when you get that kind of performance, steady performance on a day-to-day basis, then you've really got something there, and that's what the Blue Jackets have had from their 4th line. I had a chance to catch up with Riley Nash earlier this morning and talk to him about just that.
Riley, your line has been so responsible defensively, creating offensive chances, and has enabled this team to roll 4 lines. How nice is it that there is that balance right now for you guys?
It's always nice. It's always nice when you're, helping out and creating some momentum for the team, whether it be just a good, hard, heavy shift in the ozone, making their guys play defense for 45 seconds. It doesn't usually, show up on the score sheet all that often, but hopefully that contribution wears their other guys down. So I thought last game in Vancouver we spent a lot of time in the ozone, created a couple chances, so it's nice spending the time in the ozone rather than the D zone.
I guess, as they always say, you can't get high, you can't get too low. You didn't get too low after the Edmonton game, and you bounced back in the Vancouver game. But how much do you have to grab what happened in that game the other night and bring it into this one, especially in the first period tonight?
Yeah, I think we had a lot more energy in that Vancouver game, a lot more urgency. And that's kind of the way we have to play the rest of the year. You can't be reckless out there and then just trying to go straight ahead no matter what. You got to obviously use their smarts, but I thought we played with a lot more energy. Our top guys led the way; they were fantastic, and everyone kind of played the role that they've been assigned. So I thought it was a really good, one of our better team wins of the year.
Not often are you out of the playoffs, but yet still kind of control your own destiny, and you guys do. How nice is that as a team, and how much, I don't know if you guys have talked about it or if it's just that whole game-by-game approach that you've taken.
Yeah, right now we're game by game. Every point, every 2 points are so valuable at this point. Obviously we know what's at stake coming up ahead, but if we don't win these games, then those ones don't matter. So you got to take it each game at a time. It's it's an age-old cliche, and every sport uses it, but it really is this time of year. We've only got so many left, and we got to make each one count as much as possible.
As much as this team has frustrated you guys offensively, what can you do to beat their defensive system, that team defense that they throw at you?
Yeah, it seems like we've kind of got behind the 8 ball every time we played them. So, if we can just have a good start, try and keep things so even or even get up one, then it forces them to change their style of play a little bit. Obviously, when they have the lead, they're pretty good, and that's kind of the game they want to play. They want to get out by 1 early or 2 and just kind of lock it down. So if we can come out with a really good start, back on home ice again, should be exciting for us. So if we can come out with a good start, then hopefully we can kind of change our fortunes.
Changing their fortunes. That's exactly what the Blue Jackets have to do tonight. That's forward Riley Nash. When you look at the New York Islanders, this is a team that wasn't expected to do much of anything this year. They lost their star, John Tavares, in free agency last year when he went to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think a lot of people thought this team was going to fall off. I was on the list. I didn't think this team was going to do much of anything, but when they brought in Barry Trotz, that's what really made the difference. And the Islanders come into play tonight in second place in the Metropolitan Division. They have a record of 44-25-7. That's good for 95 points. They're tied with Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh doesn't hold the tiebreaker there. They've also been good on the road at 21-13-3 on the season. The Blue Jackets, in contrast, sitting in the 9th spot in the Eastern Conference, trying to get back up to the 8th spot. They're 41-30-4. That's good for 86 points. In the Blue Jackets, we've talked about this throughout the year, just barely over the 500 mark at home at 20-16-2 on the season. But to get back to the Islanders, you look at some of the top players on this team, and the guy that jumps out without question is Matt Barzal, because he's got 59 points, he's got 17 goals and 42 assists. With the departure of Tavares, he is the de facto star on this team. Now, there are other guys that are putting up numbers as well, like Brock Nelson with 24 goals and 50 points on the year. You've got Anders Lee, who has 27 goals and 47 points on the season. Very good players. Josh Bailey has 53 points with 16 goals and 37 assists. And amongst those 4 guys, you look at their numbers, and they're very similar. I mean, they're kind of all in the same range there. And again, I was just talking about balance with the Blue Jackets. Obviously, the Islanders have balance when it comes to their scoring. But I think the Islanders have one line that really is a difference maker. And as crazy as it is, you can call them their 4th line, 3rd line, 4th line. I don't care what you call it. But they're tough. And I'm talking about Matt Martin, Casey Cizikas, and Kyle Clutterbuck. You look at their points. Clutterbuck's got 21 points on the year. Matt Martin has 13 points on the year. So you look at those 2 guys and you say, well, why is that a threat? Well, then you look at Cizikas. He's got 19 goals and 30 points. But what makes them a threat is that they are just hard charging the entire game. Matt Martin was with the Islanders. He went to the Toronto Maple Leafs as a free agent. Now he's back with the Islanders again, and they've had a chance to reunite this line. They just bang and they crash and they punish you. It's like old-time hockey, and I don't mean old-time like, drop the gloves and fight 5 times a game. I'm talking about they are constantly hitting you, constantly putting the body on you. And because there are so many teams and so many players that don't do that on a regular basis anymore, it's tough to deal with. You play against the Islanders, though, you can bet that line is going to be pounding you throughout the course of the night. I would expect them to start the game tonight. They've started the last 2 games against the Blue Jackets, and they've set the tone. As a matter of fact, Cizikas had 1 game when he had 2 shorthanded goals against the Blue Jackets. So that is going to be a line for them to deal with. They've got to deal with that line tonight. But again, the Islanders, with their balance, still just keep coming at you with the other guys, too. You look to their blue line. McElligott is back there. He's got 26 points on the season, gets the puck to the net. They also have, I mentioned Ryan Pulock got a goal against the Blue Jackets the last time out. He's got 33 points on the year. So he's a threat from back there. They've got it from top to bottom. They're going to send talented guys at you. Not superstars in their own right, but good, talented guys. And sometimes those teams win more than the teams with superstars because it's just all working in cohesion. Every guy's looking not to the other guy to do it. They're looking to themselves to get it done, and it has just worked for the New York Islanders. So, again, this is not going to be an easy game for the Blue Jackets tonight. They're just trying to beat this team one time out of 4 this season, but they almost have to have this win tonight just to put themselves into the position that they want to be in a couple of days from right now. And I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you what else is going on and the position the Blue Jackets are in and how they can get to where they want to be. Well, they can get the 2 points tonight. That'll put them in a better spot. But anyway, I want to tell you right now about Ohio Credit Union, where they have many, many different services. I don't know if you even realize how many different services they have that they can help you with. And to realize it, just go to tellhio.org, and you will get all of the information, all the different accounts that they have. 3 variations of a checking account, savings accounts. They've got personal loans. They've got CDs. They've got just what is it you're looking for when it comes to your money and where to invest your money, store your money, how you can get the best interest rate, all that, why you should become a member of a credit union. All of those questions answered right there at tellhio.org. And the ones that you cannot find answered by clicking on the various tabs and reading through, you can find out the answers by clicking on the live chat button and then actually having a conversation with someone at Ohio Credit Union that can help you figure out what to do with your money, because that's what they do. They put people over profits. They've done it since 1934, so they're pretty good at it. They're pretty good. They're really good at helping you with what it is that you need to do. Ohio Credit Union is open to everyone in central and southwestern Ohio. They are also federally insured by NCUA. Now, the games that were played last night in the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs won over the Florida Panthers. 7-5 was the final in that. I bring that up because the Panthers are in Montreal tonight, and it would be nice if they could bounce back with a win after their loss in Toronto last night. The Buffalo Sabres, they continue just to struggle like crazy. They lost in New Jersey 3-1. The Pittsburgh Penguins easily beat the New York Rangers 5-2 at Madison Square Garden. The Tampa Bay Lightning scored 3 times in the third, their final goal coming in the final minute of the third period to come from behind and beat the Boston Bruins 5-4. The Vegas Golden Knights lost in St. Louis to the Blues 3-1. The Nashville Predators scored a goal in the first period. That was all they would need as they shut out the Wild 1-0. Dallas with a 5-2 win at Winnipeg last night. It was the Kings shutting out the Flames 3-0, and the Sharks scored 2 in the third period, but it wasn't enough. They lost at home to the Red Wings. 3-2 was the score in that game. So here are the way the standings are in the Eastern Conference. Starting in the Metropolitan Division, Washington is leading the New York Islanders by a point, 96-95. Pittsburgh also with 95 points. As I told you, the Islanders hold the tiebreaker there. In the Atlantic, Tampa has 122 points. Boston has 101, and Toronto has 96. The 2 wildcard teams as of right now, Carolina with 91 points and Montreal with 88 points. The Blue Jackets sitting with 86 points, the only other team that really has a legitimate shot of being able to crack into the top 8 in the Eastern Conference. Now, over in the West, in the Central Division, Winnipeg has clinched a playoff spot. They've got 94 points. Nashville has also clinched. They have 92. The St. Louis Blues are now sitting at 90 points in third place. In the Pacific, Calgary has 101 points. San Jose Sharks have 95. So separation being made there between the Sharks and the Flames. And the loser of that contest gets the Vegas Golden Knights in round number 1. And Vegas is in third place. They have 90 points on the season. The 2 wildcard teams in the West, Dallas with 84 points and Colorado with 81 points. But there's Arizona, Minnesota. They're both within striking distance, just 2 points behind the Colorado Avalanche. Coming down the stretch here with everybody having less than 10 games to play in the season. The other games that are on tap tonight, the Hurricanes are going to be on the road at Washington. As I told you, the Florida Panthers are playing in Montreal tonight. The Buffalo Sabres are back on the road in Ottawa, where they play the Senators this evening. Then you've got the Oilers playing host to the Kings tonight. The Ducks are on the road in Vancouver, and Chicago is going to be at Arizona tonight. So that's everything that's going on in the National Hockey League this evening. So some big matchups, and again, you get down to these final 7-8 games, and there are teams that are jockeying for position. There are teams that aren't going to move in their position, so they'll be, resting players and trying to stay fresh. I would think that the biggest challenge for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it's a challenge that it would be great to have, is, staying with that edge, playing with that edge every night. Now, last night they're playing the second-place team in their division in Boston, and they come roaring back and get the win in the third period. So I guess that edge is still there for them. They certainly thought there was something to play for in that game. And that's why, when you look to the playoffs and you say, boy, whoever gets the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round, good luck to them. I still think as good as they are, and they are better than anybody. On paper and on the ice right now, they're better than anybody. But don't forget, everything gets reset to zero the minute that the regular season comes to a close. Everything goes back to zero. Tampa doesn't have 122 or 130 points anymore. They will have zero. It will be 0-0 in a best-of-7 series, and then you're going to have to match up against that team every other night, and you're going to have to take the hits. You're going to have to stop them from scoring. You're going to have to get goals of your own. I mean, it goes back to a level playing field. Now, with their talent, they still will have an advantage. There's no question. No matter who they play in the first round, they're going to be a heavy favorite. But that doesn't mean that they're unbeatable. Just keep that in mind. It does not mean that they are unbeatable. But it's kind of fun to watch some of these things develop, both in the East and in the West. And that's the time of the year it is. It's exciting. Every little play that is made is big. Every little play that isn't made sometimes is bigger, because when you're talking about playing a game of mistakes and you make a mistake that can be a crucial and a critical one when your team is just out by a point or just up by a point. I mean, those mistakes, the little things become very, very large at this time of the year. So you've got to buckle down and you've got to pay attention to detail. And that's what the Blue Jackets are going to have to do tonight. They've got to buckle down. They've got to pay attention to detail. They've got to get a win. No matter what, they've got to come out of here with a win tonight. And they can get that win in any way, shape, or form, quite frankly, because they need the points. Now, 48 hours from now, I'll sing a little different tune about the way you have to win. But right now, I'm telling you, they just need the points. Whatever it takes, they've got to do in order to get the points here tonight. So this is it's a big week. It's an absolutely huge week. And as John Tortorella has said time and time again, it should be a fun week. This is when you should be having the most fun in, the most fun of the year. You should be having right now. And the Blue Jackets need to concentrate on having that fun and finding a way to get the job done. Just whatever it takes. Whatever it takes is what needs to be done, and the Blue Jackets will attempt to do that tonight at Nationwide Arena when they take on the New York Islanders. It's a game that you're going to be able to hear tonight on the Blue Jackets radio network, and that includes the flagship station, 97.1 The Fan, here in Columbus. The pregame coverage is going to start at 6:45 tonight for the 7 o'clock game, so you can join me there for that. You can also get the game by going to BlueJackets.com on your computer or your laptop. You can get it by using the Blue Jackets app through your phone or by using the TuneIn app. And if you happen to be listening to SiriusXM satellite radio tonight, we're going to be on the main NHL radio channel, SiriusXM NHL radio at channel 91. I should search this beforehand because I'm stuttering and I'm stumbling all over the place, and it's because I'm trying to refresh this, and I'm looking at the website for SiriusXM, and it's asking me what the make and model of my car is. It won't just give me the information I want, which has me tripping all over myself. So channel 91, which is the main NHL radio channel on SiriusXM, you'll be able to find the game tonight. There it is. Plain, simple, and no more stumbling. Blue Jackets and Islanders, 7 o'clock, Nationwide Arena. Until then, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.